We have some breaking news now. A teenager who was hurt while riding on the top level of a double-decker bus has died. The LA County Coroner's Office confirms 16-year-old Mason Zisette of Manhattan Beach died tonight from injuries he received in the incident. The bizarre incident happened in...
Yeah, my name is Victor George, and I'm an attorney, and I represented the Zisette family in their case against Starline Tour Bus Company and against the Mr. and Mrs. Schlossberg in the Mason Zisette wrongful death case.
7:45 Thursday evening. Students from Mira Costa High School celebrating a birthday party were riding in an open-top Starline Tours bus.
Yeah, there was a Sweet 16 birthday party. It was on July 10th of 2014, and Mason was one of the celebrants. So there were about 35 kids, most of them age 16, for the celebrant, whose name was Tatum Schlossberg. She invited a bunch of her friends, including Mason. They all met at the Schlossberg's house, got on the bus for a 4-hour tour. For about 3.5 hours of the tour, they were traveling all over the surface streets of Los Angeles, up by the Hollywood sign, Mann's Chinese Theater, the Wax Museum in Hollywood, just those fun places like that, stopped at Pink's Hot Dogs. For some reason, with about a half hour left in the trip, the bus suddenly, for the first time, jumped onto the 405 freeway at Westwood. And when they got on the freeway, there was, the kids weren't advised, nothing. Unfortunately, with the bus on the freeway going south on the 405 southbound, the kids were up dancing because the bus company had let them put their music in instead of the tour guide information. They let them put in their iPods and play music. The kids were all standing up and dancing. But with them now being on the freeway, it became, and looking back, terribly dangerous, because as they drove down the freeway, with the kids standing up, tragically, Mason was looking northbound as the bus traveled southbound. There was a very low freeway overpass, the lowest freeway overpass on the whole system from where the bus had got on the freeway up until the time of his injury. And so that overpass struck the back of his head. He looked northbound. The bus is going southbound. The overpass hits the top of his head, and it's a horrible injury. He lived for 44 hours. They kept him alive long enough so that he could donate all of his major organs.
Mira Costa classmates can't believe 16-year-old Mason Zisette is gone. By all accounts, he was a popular, outgoing kid who, like his former tennis pro father, was a great tennis player. He's
very funny, vibrant, outgoing, popular, terrific tennis player, smart kid, really well liked. Police report that while in Hollywood at the Mann's Chinese Theater, the mother of the celebrant got off the bus, went to a place called Hollywood Liquors, purchased 6 flasks of Smirnoff vodka, put it into a brown bag, got back on the bus and handed it to her 16-year-old daughter, the celebrant, and said, "Have a good time." And so then the verdict in total was $26 million, and there were a number of things we had to prove to get to the monetary portion of the damages. So we have to show what's called liability. So the liability is what's called negligence against Starline, and product liability, and what's called causation, meaning that Starline caused his death, etc. And in every one of the jury questions, the jury was unanimous, 12-0 on everything, and including the money. So the verdict was, resounding. It was unanimous as to all the liability and to the monetary amount. And then they eventually worked out the apportionment part of that, and that was 75% against Starline Bus Company, 20% against Mrs. Schlossberg, and then 5% against Mason for underage drinking. So that's how they calculate. So if you can imagine, with the $26 million verdict, you can take the percentages. For instance, 75% Starline would be somewhere around $20 million, 20% for Jolie Schlossberg, $5 million or so, and then Mason, 5%, about $1 million. It's kind of how that's how it breaks up, and that's why the apportionment is necessary, because you can find the liability against the company, against the defense.